beautiful beings. Thank you for watching this video. Today I am wanting to talk about our connection to nature and ourselves and what we can do to deepen that connection and become more conscious of how our feelings, thoughts, and actions impact the collective and our beautiful home here on Mother Earth. So, at this time, many are experiencing a severe disconnection from Mother Earth and nature, and simultaneously becoming more disconnected from ourselves because we are one with nature. Our body and our mind and the energies that we experience are all connected with nature. As above, so below. And really just understanding the law of oneness and how we are all connected, and source should be flowing through us and is flowing through us, sometimes not as strongly as it should at all times. And so it's really important to be clear on that connection and to actively deepen our experience with these things. I think we have the potential to tap into whatever types of energies that we want to. And many of us, including myself, ends up become tapped into frequencies of lack. We become tapped into a matrix of collective suffering and attachments to our old programming and feelings and thought patterns that lead us to suffering. And we become trapped in this because we believe it is the only way to survive, and it's the only way we can experience the world, and it's the only energy we can tap into. But this is not true, and it is very important to realize that we can very easily tap into a different network of energy that is more positive, gives us more connections to more positive, to things that benefit us a little more. And nature, the frequencies of nature is one of these networks, tapping into the network of oneness and aliveness and just feeling connected to Mother Earth, feeling one with all organisms and life energies in the most fulfilling, peaceful way, tapping into the pure Mother Earth energy itself. And by doing this, we become more connected with ourselves. Everything starts to look more beautiful. We recognize more of the beauty that there is. We feel peaceful. We start feeling more of those fourth dimensional experiences, and the lies of the ego become diminished. Oh, hey! I was wondering where this crystal was, and I just found it. It was right here by this tree. It's pyrite. Pyrite is for grounding, abundance, and just, it feels very electric to me. It feels very good. Well, I'm happy I found that. But and yeah, just being amazed and happy laughing, singing, just expressing those positive frequencies. And if you have some negativity, validating it and recognizing it and asking the questions as to why you're experiencing them, and then doing things to release them, such as writing, yoga, breathing exercises, anything that helps you release stress. And another important part of this video that I want to talk about is that I don't think is getting enough attention is animal agriculture. And animal agriculture is the biggest reason why planet Earth is the way it is right now. Like, all of the destruction that's happened. It's honestly insane how much animal agriculture has contributed to the destruction of the earth. And it's not talked about because it's covered up. All of these environmental protection agencies and all of that, they talk about, conserving water, turning off your lights, all of that, but they don't talk about animal agriculture. And it's because the people who are responsible for most of this are of the 1% who have all the power and are involved with, political corruption, all the really messed up stuff that happens with that. And people who speak up about it have been persecuted and killed because the 1% wants to protect their profits. And if you've done, it's not hard to see that there's definitely corruption in the food industry, but it's really not everyone knows just how far it goes, and really just how toxic everything is. And not everything, but you really have to be very conscious about what you put in your body, because chances are, most of us, we have buildup of toxins over the years. I know when I was little, I was eating McDonald's all the time and Little Debbie's, and that's a lot of toxins, and most of our water supply is toxic. We have to have special filters to get rid of all of the crap that is not good for us. And so that stuff stays stuck in our bodies for a long time until we finally detox of it. And so not only is being conscious of what we put in our bodies affecting us individually, but it also affects the planet, and it also affects the collective. And not only does it affect us physically, it affects us emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Animal agriculture takes up so much of the land. So many trees have to be cut down in order to support the demands that we put out for meat. And the dairy industry is just as bad. And I think any contribution is amazing. Any effort to cut down on meat and dairy is amazing, because it really does have a huge impact on the environment. And most of the greenhouse gases, most of the pollution, most of the destruction of the forest, most of what's going on with the ocean, climate change. I mean, all of these issues, animal agriculture is the number one, if not a major factor in all of this. And I mean, even things like world hunger. I mean, there's people in other there's lands in other countries that are being used for animal agriculture, where all these crops are being raised to support cows, because cows eat a ton and they drink a lot of water. And it really, like, I don't know the exact statistic, but it's like, if you're trying to conserve water to help the environment, I mean, that's good, but as soon as you sit down and eat a hamburger, that equals, like, I think it was like 3 months of showering. And so it really is insane just how much resources it takes to eat the amount of meat and dairy that we do. And as I was saying, in other countries where people are starving, these crops are being raised to support these cows. But if animal agriculture wasn't such a big demand, then that we could raise the crops to feed the people. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff like that. And because it takes so much land, I mean, like, wild populations, like wild horses, like all these animals are being captured and killed because they have to get rid of the natural life to make room for the man-made land, man-made, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but basically they have to destroy so many animals to keep them away from the area where they live, so that it can be made for the cows and the chickens, and then it's like these animals that are being killed for our consumption is treated absolutely horribly. And not only does that affect the animals, but it affects us as well. I mean, when you eat a piece of meat that an animal who was gone through a lot of suffering, I mean, if you're sensitive enough, you will feel it, but most people aren't. Most people don't think about it when they eat. But the death and suffering of the animal, like, all emotions are stored in our body, and so stress is stored in our body. And if that animal went through a lot of suffering, then that is going to be stored in their body, and it's going to be in the meat, and that the frequencies that meat is going to give off is going to be very low, and it's going to be full of fear, and it's not alive either, so you're not getting much life force from the meat anyway, because it's dead. And so you're taking in this low frequency, and it actually does keep our frequencies lower. It keeps us from tapping into these higher dimensions and experiencing ascension. And many people of spiritual awakening are no longer able to eat meat or dairy because of, or at least not as much, because of the suffering that it has. And not only that, but humans actually have the body of a herbivore. We were not always eating meat. For a long time we were eating plant-based, vegan. Vegan was our natural way of eating. We evolved to become omnivores only when it became absolutely necessary for survival. And so we can handle meat if it's absolutely necessary for our survival, but our bodies don't thrive off of it. We cannot break down meat and get as much nutrients from meat because our bodies are not designed to break it down. So you will get some nutrition from it, but not as much as you would if eating plants, because our bodies can actually break that down and properly digest it. When you eat meat, your body has to work harder to break it down, and it takes a lot more of your energy. Many people have experienced more ease with ascending to the higher dimensions and becoming more connected with nature and themselves, and just experiencing higher vibrations when adopting a plant-based diet, because their diet is made up of higher vibrations and frequencies. And once you raise your vibration to a certain point, you are no longer able to handle foods of a lower vibration as well as you might have used to. I think it is very beautiful that we are creators, and as creators we have a lot of power, and I am amazed just by everything in this world, and just really how absolutely beautiful it is and how beautiful we all are. And I think it's really time to just truly appreciate ourselves and everything, and becoming conscious of the impacts of our thoughts, feelings, actions, and emotions, and just becoming more and more accepting of our true selves, which is love. We are love. And as we ascend to these frequencies of love, we realize just how connected we are. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but it's true. And honestly, there is so much that cannot be explained with words, but only felt. And I'm sure everyone has knows what I'm talking about, at least with some things. So remember that we are all one. We are one with the trees, we are one with the animals, we are one with each other, we are one with our shoes and our food and everything, because everything comes from the same source. And there is energy and love made up in everything. So thank you very much, and have a very beautiful day. Bye.